Hello and welcome to Frankly Speaking with Sendra D here on Sendra TV. On this episode, I will be speaking with Matt Morgan, a former WWE Wrestler, also an actor, politician, and former basketball player. And this is going to be a different atmosphere because it's the first time I'm doing an interview at someone's home. You've seen the episodes prior and they've been, in a studio and everything has been pretty formal and structured. So this is going to be the real side of Matt Morgan and also in his home. And, I'm so grateful that his wife allowed me to share this space. So let's start today by saying welcome to Matt. And, hopefully you will benefit from this as I have. And I see someone that is guest appearing. Hello. And Matt's son is coming to say hello.
Jackson's nonverbal autistic. He's 6.
All right. So this is the real side of, and I have a feeling that this is part of the why that Matt has, transferred from, the world of entertainment to the world of politics to make a difference. So I want to start by saying, can you tell my audience a little bit about who you are, Matt? And
yeah, you hit the nail on the head at the beginning. My bigger platform that most people know me for is I'm a former WWE superstar. I 13 years as a professional wrestler. I'll help you, pal. I also, come here right here, buddy. I also was a former American Gladiator. And honest to God, what happened to me and how I even got, I'm now the current mayor in Longwood, Florida, and I'm running for Seminole County Commissioner, District 1. What you just literally witnessed, you can't write, right? Because the day that little boy was born in the delivery room, and I wasn't planning on doing this, but I retired from wrestling that day. He's in my arms, I was it, check please, I'm done. Because wrestling, you're on the road 5 days a week of every month of every year on tour. I did that for 13 straight years. I'd see my wife on a Saturday, half of a Sunday, rinse and repeat, right? So what happened was, I wasn't expecting that to happen. It did. I called WWE, asked for my release. I was supposed to go back to their company. A big pay-per-view was coming up later that January. He was born January 7th. I was supposed to go back January 21st, I believe. It's crazy how life works. And then from that moment on, my entire viewpoint changed on everything across the world. I mean, everything. Everything. I didn't care about politics, politicians. I mean, not at all. Not whatsoever. And I don't say that in an irresponsible way. I say that in a way I'm in all these foreign countries, different states, 5 days a week. And once you become a father, you start checking around and you start looking around and saying, well, the environment my son is going to grow up in, especially a nonverbal autistic son, who's doing what around here? And you pull back that curtain in your own city and say, well, how can I use my celebrity for good? That platform I have with over 1 million followers on social media, and these people that watch my TV for years that have a certain trust in me, how can I help everybody's children, essentially? And then you start to see who does what around here. We have a city commission in Longwood. So 2017, I said, you know what, if I think I can do better, I need to put my name in the hat and shut my big fat mouth and do better. I won my 2017 election. I went from commissioner to deputy mayor to mayor, where I'm at right now. And so most people are like, well, why would you want to be Seminole County commissioner then now, right? And it's the same exact thesis. It's because I want to be able to do even more for a bigger amount of people. Instead of just 16,000 people in Longwood by itself, I want to help 500,000 people across Seminole County plus Longwood.
Well, I applaud you. I love what you said, that a public service is not a career, it is an honor and a privilege. It should definitely be a service.
Yes, ma'am.
And you said you want to be the county's 7-foot, 300-pound backbone.
Yep.
Phenomenal. I saw that and I was like, well, that's brilliant. We're going to have you elaborate a little bit about, so we talk about the career, but let's go a little bit more in the beginning. Where were you born?
Oh, wow. Fairfield, Connecticut, or many people don't know, Bridgeport, Connecticut, I was born. Small town in Connecticut, southern Connecticut, about 45 minutes from New York City. Grew up there my younger part of my life. I've also lived in New Jersey, Hawaii, southern United States, Florida, but finally in 2006 we called this place our home. Yeah.
So your wife, and I understand that you're high school sweethearts?
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yes, I'm the worst here. She's gonna kill me for that. My college sweetheart, Larissa. Yes, Larissa Vasper, now Larissa Morgan. Yeah, I met her in my communications class. She's my first.
It's college, not high school.
Yeah, I'm sorry, college. Yes. But yeah, I'm married to her. You know, we were told we couldn't even have kids for like 10 years. We tried to have children, went through IVF 7 different times. None of them worked. So like when he was born and she had an emergency C-section, I'm holding him. I'm telling you, this crazy switch went off in my head that I was not expecting to go off. I knew I'd be grateful. I prayed to God every night for a child.
So you are a spiritual man.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness, yes.
So we're going to have a conversation about that in a little bit. I know we're short on time, and hopefully we can elaborate on this a little bit more. And so I love to talk to people who are serving the greater good in the political realm, but also are knowing that they are serving the universe, God.
Yes.
Yeah. So when did that journey start for you? Was it your parents?
My parents introduced me to Christ at a Roman Catholic church where I grew up in. But then eventually, like happens to a lot of people, they don't get their way back on track to that, to the following Him. Is you go to church eventually at a certain age where you start thinking about the football game around that's at home that you really want to get back home to watch. You start to patronize the Lord, I feel, and you're not paying attention. So I'm beyond blessed because what happened to me was when that happened, I got to an age where I could go to church by myself. I had stopped because I allowed sports to really come really into my life as a full-time job.
Thank God.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Talk about worshiping a false idol, right?
Right.
But I'm also a 14-year recovered opioid addict.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it was when I was in a rehabilitation center where I had nobody. I couldn't call anybody. I wasn't on that many visitors. I had nothing. I had my Bible. And I went through the Bible, and here's Jesus, you know, better yet, I take that back. There's God knocking on my door every day while I disappeared in my early 20s, I'd say. You know, I was still believing in Christ. I never stopped, but I wasn't going to church. I wasn't really living for Christ at the time.
Right.
All right. So I felt he definitely helped me get through the roughest time of my life, my biggest obstacle at the time, which was addiction. And when I got out, that was it. I let him fully back into my life completely. And from that moment on, you know, I said, if you ever give me back my wrestling career or anything like that, I feel like I made this deal mentally in my head that I will constantly praise you publicly whenever I have the opportunity, and try to inspire others as well.
We definitely need leadership like this, which is a God-centered leadership, which is beyond the human, but mostly takes you to the realm of the spiritual. And this channel is all about that. I interview people who are very successful in the material world, but anchored in the spiritual. So as the audience knows, I myself have a spiritual journey that I started 21 years ago, as you know, in recovering from alcoholism. So I am all for that. I mean, right now it's not something that is in the forefront, but I was definitely lifted it up from that mindset. It is a lifestyle and a mindset. So aren't we blessed to have known God? And I want you to touch, as a political leader now, the Mayor of Longwood. Let's touch a little bit about what we're seeing in other parts of the country. And we're seeing Seattle, of course, you know, as a woman who happens to be, you know, of this pigmentation, people think I should think differently. But I'm a conservative woman, and I think because of that, I'm anchored in God, and I look at the messenger before I hear the message. You know, I listen to the message before I listen to the messenger, because I actually feel that it has to be centered in God. So let's talk about Seattle. Anarchy, defunding the police. What you say, Mr. Mayor?
Before we get into that, I just want her quick story that she just rolled over because she's being incredibly humble about her story, and I guarantee it was her Mount Everest she had to climb over to get through alcoholism. Excuse me. I believe God goes above and beyond to put us all and gives us, because He doesn't give everybody else that second opportunity to come back from those things. Those are life-threatening addictions.
Indeed.
So you're obviously here for a reason.
Absolutely. Wearing white at all. People tell me, why do I wear white? It's purification. I feel like I've been lifted up.
No, to be that transition for someone else, I guarantee for many other people out there that are teeter-tottering on whether it's addiction or God Himself. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? But back to your question of what we see going on, good Lord, it's terrifying. of what you see going on out there. That's why I say our county's 7 foot, 300 pound backbone. Because you need a leader that, yes, like you said, is God-centered, but by the same token is not scared by the vocal minority and will constantly do what's best for that silent majority. And free thinkers like yourself that don't allow, oh, good Lord, the ID politics, identity politics,
right,
for that matter, that gets so ensued in every darn lamestream news channel you play
absolutely.
through.
It's a program. It's brainwashing, isn't it?
It really is. It's brainwashing our entire country.
In the generations to come.
That is the scariest
That's
part.
the frightening part.
That's the scariest part, because this is that next generation that we're seeing with this uprising.
Right. I don't have children, but you have to think about the country you're leaving behind for your son.
I'm terrified. And that's another reason why you want to step up.
Absolutely.
You don't have the political background to be a leader. A leader is a leader.
And you have to be associated with any party. You just have to make the moral decision. Correct. So tell me a little bit about that. So what would this county look like? What would Seminole County look like if we, defunded the police?
Oh my God.
If we let go of any type of political leadership and anyone could just do anything and just fend for themselves.
Okay, so it would be the Wild Wild West. It would be that Chaz area that we saw out in Seattle that has already been blown up and pulled away because it was an utter failure. Of course it would be a failure. You have non-leaders being put in leadership roles in which, if you noticed, it kept transitioning to a person to another. And most importantly, it's because it was lawless. Laws are here for a reason. They're not here to get in your way of having a good time.
Right.
They're here so we could have a good time. Those that are law-abiding citizens, God-fearing citizens, to be able to do something with our lives to help better for others.
Absolutely.
How are we supposed to do better for others if we don't have this structure in place? And again, I like the way you said it, of your pigmentation. You said it best. I really, really like that, because what we're seeing right now across this country is, again, identity politics.
Absolutely.
And people trying to force, especially Republicans like ourselves, to be able to feel like negative about ourselves.
Right,
like
absolutely. I am not ashamed of who I am. I was created perfectly. Everyone is a unique idea. And so therefore, we need to express perfectly exactly how we were intended to. And we don't have to look to the next door neighbor to find out what is in store for us. We actually go from within. But we're fortunate though, aren't we? Yeah. We're fortunate to have that sort of infrastructure in place. And the God structure, right?
I was gonna say, where do you think I come from?
Yeah, it's the God structure. Because if you don't have that divine blueprint, you think you are self-creating all of it. You're like, and then you become, who do we become? Mr. Gates, and who wants to vaccinate? Talk about that. Yeah. And the contract tracing, you want to talk a little about that? As a leader of a county, you would have to be the person who would be in charge of keeping track of everyone's movement. And what would that look like?
To begin with, this is with the mask, because as a mayor, I have faced those questions from residents, just about on a smaller level. Let's just say masks. I think, and I said this when the virus first hit and everyone was terrified out of their minds about it, because they've never seen anything like this coronavirus, to be fair. But I had 50-50. I had 50% of residents going, oh my God, make everybody wear a mask now. And those going, these are constitutional rights that you're completely going to violate if you do that. The good news, or bad news, depending on how you look at it, is the Seminole County commission I'm running for District 1, this is the ones that decide that. And so I personally, and I've said this in videos, that I put out a mask for a video by saying, it's my personal prerogative if I want to go into a Publix, let's say, or anywhere for that matter, and wear that mask if I want to. But no way, no how should I ever be able to tell anybody else as a governmental official, you have to do this or you have to do that. We know the statistics on this virus. We know it's serious. For whatever reason, another thing that the Dems continue to try to paint the negative paintbrush of Republicans with is that we don't take this virus seriously. That's not what it is. We do. But we're grown adults. We know the statistics that are out there, and we know the preventative measures.
Absolutely.
But here's the catch: it's our not obligation. It's our
duty.
Yeah, it's our choice. It's our choice on how we want to combat it, or not. If somebody doesn't want to combat it, who are you to go out there and tell them that they have to?
Absolutely.
That is not what our Constitution says. Our Constitution is being completely trampled on by all these counties that are mandating masks and hand-holding, and putting in curfews.
Your counterpart in Miami and West Palm Beach are mandating, and the residents, I saw a clip, the residents are just upset.
So here's the thing. Currently right now, in the next day, I'm going to bet my house on it. You're hearing me here first.
Sendra.
I will bet you anything that the Seminole County Commission will mandate masks following what Orange County is doing, and I disagree with it greatly. Again, you're violating anyone's constitutional rights.
So you think it's political? I asked you a question that I already know the answer to, but I would like to hear it from your viewpoint.
I do feel it because when the cases will continue to crank up and rise, people are going to say, well, what did you do as an elected official to prevent that from happening? I think you do what you can do by giving out all the statistics that are out there, and you give people the tools, the masks, the not just the stats, places they can go get tested, ramp up the tests, all right? All those types of things are all great, but then it should be up to the responsibility of that person on how they want to handle it. Do they want to wear a mask or not? Great. Do they want to go into a restaurant? Like everyone keeps complaining, oh my God, there's people that were less than 6 feet apart from each other. Okay, but were you less than 6 feet apart from someone? And they'll say, well, no. I go, so why do you care?
It seems that there was a clip of Joy Behar saying that her husband and the woman, she's one of those women on The View, the show, and she's driving around, and her and her husband are looking for people who are not wearing masks so they can call out these people.
That's the world we live in. We live in this tattletale society that I know better than you, and I am your end-all, be-all, long arm of the law police.
And that's what a good citizen looks like. It's your job to actually tell on your neighbor because they're not following the rules. Where did we see that before? Like communist China, maybe?
Yep.
Soviet Union, maybe?
Sister,
really?
yes.
I mean, when the Jews were hiding and somebody said there was a Jew hiding, I mean, where are we going with this? So, you know me, I'm pretty straightforward. Frankly speaking, with Sendra D is all about truth telling. And you don't have to believe what I believe. You don't have to believe what Matt believes. We just invite you to think for yourself and question everything. Why are we subject to these practices today? Well, it just happens to be in 2020 election year. So this is not going to stop. And so the people taking to the streets, are they really concerned about the issues? Or are they concerned about the agenda? So that's all we're saying. No, do the research yourself. So Matt, it's interesting. I love the passion that you have, and so it's interesting. How long did that transition take for you to say, okay, I'm a leader, but then I'm also a citizen? Yeah. I mean, it's not the transition, the balance, because you have to not only enforce these rules, but you have to be a citizen following these rules as well. So talk to me a little bit about that.
I'm pretty dead honest with everybody. Even business owners, I told them straight up, look, when they first put the very first executive order together, when they had to close all our small businesses, I watched 7 of them firsthand go out of business. Families that have put from generation to the next generation to that next third generation in every penny they've ever earned to their business. And I watched 7 of those types of mom and pop businesses go out in week 2 of this coronavirus here in Longwood. And I was out there with them in their stores, and one was a mom and pop restaurant. Anyways, so I was with them when they were suffering and going through it all, and I'll never forget it. And my entire time I was there, I was like, technically, you're having your constitutional rights violated hugely right now. Again, I will reiterate, if you don't want to go out, you should be able to stay home. Oh, but it's not me I'm worried about, it's my grandma. Okay, then guess what? It's your duty to talk to your grandma, to get your grandma to stay inside. And guess what? If grandma doesn't want to do it, grandma doesn't have to do it, technically. If we're being even across the board with everybody's constitutional rights, I think you can't go wrong. When everything you do, you continue to go, does this violate people's constitutional rights? I think if you keep that as your parameters, you're okay. Even in this situation with this coronavirus. So as you answer your question better, the county is the ones that mandate the executive order, the masks, and all those other great things, right? And for this virus, we as cities have to follow it. It's what it is. But I'm talking to you, is how I talk to our residents, and it's how I talk to our business owners of saying, look, you do this, you do what you're telling, but by the same token, your constitutional rights are being completely trampled.
So yes,
counties are being sued.
It's interesting because I've never thought about what's the political landscape of a city or a county or a state when I move around, because I've moved around all over this country. But nowadays, I've got to wonder. I mean, I will not move to Orange County because I know I have a Democratic mayor that is imposing these rules on people, and I don't want my freedoms imposed upon. New York City is a place, I'm in finance. I would love to go and live in New York City at some point in time. But seeing what New York City, they're defunding the police. About 56% of the police officers have filed for retirement in New York City as we speak, I believe. I mean, I'm not one with stats right now, but this is just eyeballing some articles today.
To answer one of your questions, I'm going to cut you off. You also asked about the defunding of the police. I think that's ridiculous. That's a joke. This would be the wild, wild west if you got rid of our police. And I saw Minnesota, their city commission, has moved it forward to abolish their police department, but their mayor has vetoed it. But their votes, I guess, the 12 of them, are worth more than his veto. So it's going to go through. So that's going to be a great city to be paying attention to.
Absolutely. Does it spread it? I mean,
we know what's going to happen. So again, I think that is the craziest idea I've ever heard in my life.
I believe that's where Elon Omar is. That's her district, yeah.
So I believe in fully funding the police. Not only fully funding them, but like what I did here in Longwood. I got up off my ass and I went to the precinct in person. And I told our police in person, we've got your back. We couldn't be any more proud of you. We couldn't love you any more than we currently love you. Do not hesitate to do your job to its fullest. Now is not the time to pull back, because that's what's happening. They're making police being put in these predicaments in which they're double thinking and double guessing themselves. Second guessing themselves. And that is not good. We need them to
be strong and steady.
To protect us.
Absolutely, because when I see a police, I never give it a second thought when I saw a police car pass me. But what I do, I have a practice now that when I see the word police on a car, I silently say a prayer for them and I say, bless them and keep them safe. Because when they're safe, we are safe. Because just like there are doctors out there who are being sued for malpractice. So they are not all perfect. Just like there are politicians that are not all perfect. Every group has some bad seeds. Yes. So why throw the baby out with the bathwater? So it makes no sense. My father was a military man, in Haiti. And, they abolished the military. True story. The Clintons went out there and abolished the military. Look at Haiti now. Yeah. Look at Haiti now. They had a socialist priest. Look at Haiti now. He is one of the richest people in the world. Of course he is. So, as you talk about, I quoted something you said about being of service. Yes. Of service. So what do you say to those people who have been in Washington or any political office? Your opponent, I believe, has been in office for about 16 years. 16 years. So do you think there should be term limits?
Definitely. I believe in 2 4-year term limits. If it's good enough for a president, it's good enough for me. Because here's what happens. You start double talking. You start talking out both sides of your mouth.
Right.
Meaning you stop paying attention to that silent majority that you're supposed to be up front of every day and getting their opinions on what they want with their county. And you start listening to that the vocal minority. And you start, I have nothing against my opponent. I get along great with them. Quite frankly, it's nothing personal. I feel I can do a better job. That's why I'm running. But with that said, you start, when you've been in office for 16 years, you start to placate the left, especially if you're a Republican. I'm in a Republican primary. There's August 18th on the Views. Need your vote. But what happens is you start placating the left by saying things that my opponent has, like that nature should have constitutional rights. That's like straight out of AOC's top 10 playlist.
Right.
We don't talk, real conservatives do not talk like that.
And that brings me to the topic of free speech. What's happening now with technology companies and all over the globe. Is China really? Are we learning from China's playbook now? Is that how the United States is rolling? Because the United States citizens are being silenced. Conservatives are being silenced. I don't even know if this video will make it because they are scanning. If you say certain words, apparently you have to be mindful as to who and what you talk about.
That's wild. I'm sorry. That's wild. That is wild, and you're correct. Your Google's, somebody, let's say a Democrat's Google search, when they type in the same thing versus when you and I, let's say, type in, they will get different results. So next time, go to one of your Democratic friends and look it up. It's insanity is what it is. And it's because they have so much of these algorithms that are based in our phones, our iPads, our computers, on how we do our searches. And they pick up the habits, our viewing habits online. And so they flag you and me from day one.
Absolutely.
That we're conservatives. And so what does that mean? They then follow this is not conspiracy theories. This is proven.
Ron Paul is being censored. Dr. Ron Paul is being censored. If he is, really.
This is craziness. So what happens is then they follow your social media. And that's where they get you. I've been shadow banned on Twitter for, just simply retweeting something from our president. I
Right.
remember. He was talking about jobs. Like, it wasn't even something like obscene or crazy or nuts or bad. And then I got, for this race, for Seminole County Commission District 1, Congressman Matt Gates endorsed me just 6 hours after I announced. Well, I first went to post it, and guess what? It didn't post. I had to post it like 3 more times for it to finally catch. And I had to keep asking my friends, do you see it in your timeline? Do you see it in your timeline? That's ridiculous.
Absolutely. I've posted things on the Clintons when I've said, you know, give back the money on Haiti. You know, if you love the country so much. On the, you know, January 12th was the anniversary of the earthquake, and the Clintons, you know, had $10 billion of the funds. From that, you know, from all the sovereignties that donated. And I said, give back the money. And I've never seen that tweet. It's never been posted. Anytime you say Clinton, it's just banned. So I still invite Bill Clinton to come on my show because, you know, if I'm lying, you know, so I actually am grateful because I was created from a different cloth. And I want you to tell me, why are you conservative? I mean, besides just loving God, why are you conservative?
I'm so glad you asked me that. Because I grew up in the Northeast, incredibly Democratic family, Democratic household, Democratic neighbors, Democratic everything. I didn't even really know that. What I knew was this: when I was a little boy, we got to see. I was in 2nd grade. Ronald Reagan came to Fairfield, Connecticut, and had a debate versus Walter Mondale. I was in 2nd grade. I got sick that day, and instead of taking me home, my mom took me to that. And anyways, when we were done, everyone was going crazy for Ronald Reagan, like crazy, like it was a rock concert. Guys had girls sitting on their shoulders watching. Wow. It looked like we were at a rock. I swear to God, like a concert is what I remember as a 2nd grader. And I remember when we were leaving, and I saw the letter R next to his name and D next to Mondale at the time. And I said to my mom and dad, you know, I go, you guys always said you went with the letter D. I thought, what this guy with the R, why do you guys like him? And like, okay, yes, we always do go with the guy with the letter D, which stands for Democrat, Matt. But this other guy, he's different. He's just different.
Right.
I got a bit older. I asked my dad to explain that to me again. And he said, he was a Democrat. And he told me, Matt, the difference with Democrat Republicans, Democrat are the guys that fight for me, who works 2 jobs. My mom, that works 3 jobs for you and your brothers. They're the ones who fight for the low guy on the totem pole, for us. And so I had that in my head from my dad since I was, I want to say 4th, 5th grade.
It's programming.
Right, programming. So I assumed that my whole life because, again, I followed politics, didn't watch the news. All I watched was ESPN, wrestling. You know, things I was really into. That was really about the extent of it. Then when I got on the road out of college, finally, I went to college in Hawaii at Chaminade University, where I met my wife. But when I'm on the road wrestling for 30 straight years, I'm not watching the news. The closest I came to watching the news was generally the headline on the paper at the gas station checkout line or a grocery store. That's about as involved I got into it. So once I became a dad, that's when I started to see who made decisions around here, who does what. And I started to meet other people, and you then start talking politics. And I started to see, like, oh my God, these blue-collar workers that my dad said, like, are really Republicans.
Right.
And more importantly, then I started really, really pull back the card. I went from a Democrat to an MPA, because in Longwood, the race was a nonpartisan race to become a city commissioner. But it was in that process, and then my first year in office, you really start to pay attention to different policies, Democrat versus Republican policies. You're like, it's not even debatable. Republicans are the ones that fight for the low end of the total poll. They're the ones that gave the things that my dad, unfortunately, did get wrong. Hey, he's not here with us today. I wish I could tell him. And that is, you got it wrong. The Republicans fight for the low guy in the totem pole. At one point, they're the ones that say, go out and do what I did. Go and bust my ass more than the next person in this life. And what I go out and what I earn and I get to keep and do what I want with it. And look what I do with it. I share it with other people. I share myself with other people. No one had to mandate that to me.
Absolutely.
That's and what I grew up to being told was that's how the Democratic way of life is. No, it's not. The Democratic way of life is the complete opposite.
Absolutely.
They're the snobs that thumb their nose down at the rest of us.
Absolutely, because it's a socialist system as far as I'm concerned. And I voted for Barack Obama the first time because I was like, okay, you know, I don't want to...
Our first African-American president.
Not because of that, just because I had no idea who he was. And I was like, well, let's give this guy a chance. And I said, the country needs attention. And so our armed services were being neglected. The wives were being neglected. When somebody's deployed, they don't have food for the kids. I was like, bring this money back home.
So senseless overseas wars.
Absolutely. And that's where Trump comes in. He said no more wars, and he has managed to stay out of war. Yep. And it's interesting because we now have Bolton, who was, anyway, we don't get into that because I know we have, and so, but what I want to say is about, the Republicans have, I just say Republicans are a little too polite. I am so glad Trump is here because he says it and he gives people permission to say it too. Yep. Because we've been too polite. We have been allowing people to make us in their image. They are the ones who are racist. And they say that Republicans are racist. Yeah. They say they want to keep us in, and I say us, and I say, imagine if I wasn't born in Haiti and my father wasn't a diplomat and all that, I could have been one of these black women living in the project, being told by the Democrats that having babies is the only way to get money. Yeah. And that's what these women are brainwashed with. That needs to stop. Everyone is equal under the sun because we were created in the image and likeness of the God, not of the Democrats. That's their image that they have for you. So I invite you to wake up. Okay, this is not me talking.
We do have some huge warriors.
Do you know what I mean? So we need to speak up, and that's why we need you. And you need to bring that style of wrestling to politics. Yeah.
So we have the warriors that do step up. We do have Congressman Matt Gaetz. We do have Donald Trump, our president. We do have Candace Owens.
You have Jim Jordan.
We have a bunch now. But we need them on the local level.
Absolutely.
We don't have them on the local level.
You can't be shy.
We have Republicans in our Seminole County Commission right now that write op-eds in the Seminole County Sentinel about how the president would not be welcome to
Unacceptable.
Not only would he be welcome to our county, I know our president. I know our president's son. I've known them for years as a professional wrestler, performing at their places of business. At one point, they come backstage. Don Jr., multiple times. I'm not saying that sound like a
no, this is good.
I'm saying it because
it's not because they're president and they're in the White House now. It's just because you have a personal relationship with them.
Because he's the realest. I'm telling you, you get it, you see it. He's real. He's as real as he gets.
Absolutely.
And that's what we need. But we need it now on a county level as well.
Absolutely.
We need somebody to be a straight shot caller in the form of being real and being honest.
Absolutely.
And not being intimidated
by this identity politics.
Oh
this is just nonsense. That man is not racist. Just because he doesn't have many black friends doesn't mean anything. So every time a black person says to me, "Oh, he's racist," I said, "Did he treat you badly? Is that why?"
What's wild to me is that we're in a society today where a Candace Owens, who's African American, gets called racist.
It's interesting because everyone now, if you're a conservative, you're automatically lumped into the racist category.
Way, if you're conservative and you're watching this, and I hope you are, that is how you know you won the conversation. I would say 9 out of 10 times is when they immediately have to jump down your throat and say, racist.
Absolutely. They got nothing else. And the thing is, as they say that, they are feeling insecure. I was on WhatsApp with talking to someone and was saying, "Oh, America is racist." And I was like, you know what? I grew up in Haiti, and black people are discriminated against each other. Every group has and I had a conversation with an Indian person. They have a caste system. In the UK, they have the monarchy. There's always some form of someone trying to be higher than the other. Yeah. That's the law of nature. In the jungle, you're gonna see the lion, be up here. So you know what? Don't use that as an excuse. Use that, an excuse to stay small. Use that to propel you to greater things. You tell me what I can't do, I tell you what you dare me to do and watch me do it.
So this is all very important and very, very, very great points. I love your passion. You're 100% right. And this is a great, on I would say, a national front, but Seminole County, let's be very clear, this is super important because this is the I-4 corridor.
Absolutely.
This is where we're going to decide our next president. Every election, that's how it works between here and Orange County generally. Excuse me. So right now, we're in one of the bigger reasons I'm running, because I've been asked by I'm not going to exaggerate or pat myself on the back, it's the truth. Thousands of Seminole County residents that have met me, have seen me online, and they know what kind of leader I am. I don't blow smoke and I don't BS people. I give it to them straight. And it is because of that they've asked me to run against this 16-year incumbent who's been in office and looking to take on 20 years, because he will not win the general election. We have a female Democrat waiting for who the winner of this Republican primary is. Just sitting there chilling, waiting till November. This is the same woman, her name is Katrina Shattuck. She almost beat Chairman Jay Zembauer in 2018, where he spent $250,000. I believe she spent like $8,000. Okay, and she lost by a razor's edge. This county, I'm not saying this to scare anybody, guys. I'm the person that beats up fearmongers, not do the fearmongering.
Absolutely.
Okay, but I want to be clear. We're in danger of turning not purple, blue. With my seat, the seat I'm running for, Commissioner, Seminole County Commissioner District 1, if I don't win this primary, I'm telling you right now, we will lose the general. And this will be the first seat in our Seminole County Commission that turns blue. I'm being dead serious. The polling has showed it. And that's a big part of why I'm running, because while I love serving Longwood, and I do want to serve a greater amount of people for the whole county, I got to make sure that we continue to have a county that believes in conservative values, but has representation for those same conservative values on the commission dais for
Absolutely.
the whole county. Because guess what? When COVID hits or something else like that, again, you have somebody that's actually up there that can have their voices heard about protecting yours constitutional rights.
Well, it's all about, balance, isn't it? And if we continue to watch this wildfire, and I applaud the Democrats for accomplishing everything that they have. Oh my God,
they stick together,
because they are phenomenal. And Trump has said it. Trump says, the one thing about the Democrats, they will stick like white on rice. And you know what? Obama, his DOJ had his back. If the DOJ of Donald Trump had half the energy that Obama had during this whole Russia hoax and during the Ukraine, and even now, when I see nobody go down in chains, I want to see him clean. But nothing like that's happened. Everybody's still being polite. This is not a time to be polite. This is the time to be transparent and to be honest, because there is justice for both sides. We can't keep letting people get away with it, because I know if I did something, I would not get away with it. So we got to see that this country is equal for everyone.
And you throw on top of everything that you just said, you have the media, which I don't have time to get into. I'll be here for 4 hours talking about that. Hollywood,
Wall Street,
Google,
technology.
When you want to go type in what she just said to you, all right, chances are you're going to have a hard time finding it. And that's what's BS about all of this. So they control everything. Not only they stick together better, they control everything here. As far as this is important, though, the news goes and how you can go look up and what you just said. If we were Democrats out there speaking on democratic issues, you can go tomorrow, you can go right now on Google and find it like that.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't be hard to find. Now they're banning everybody. Freedom of speech, they're banning it more and more and more. And they want to make us sound like we're being conspiracy theorists.
Absolutely. Question everything. And the European Union is in on it too. And I say this, I lived in the UK. I see it's just too convenient when one thing happens in the US and then everybody just jumps on it and they all hate Trump. Why is that? Why is that you hate the most transparent president in the United States?
Two reasons. One, because he makes them, he shows everybody what a real leader is. And two, the same reason, I swear to God, one reason I ran in Longwood and why people voted for me is because nobody's hands are in my pocket. Nobody can tell me what to do except the voters. That's the way Trump is.
Right.
And it scares the hell out of corporate America. It scares the hell out of Democrats, who for years, they're the elite, supposedly, right? They're the ones that thumb their nose down on everybody. They're all about making money and not letting anybody come in and interfere. That money and control. And he threatens it and has from day one.
Absolutely.
And he continues. In 2017, he predicted what we're seeing today, right now, with the pulling down of all of our statues and monuments.
Absolutely.
He called it out.
And he called the voter fraud. He also called, because now they're calling for mail-in ballots. Do you talk to me about that? What do you think? I know we're running out of time.
I'm frustrated with that because where I would normally have the ability to go knock on doors and try to go talk to voters in person, I've got to do it much faster because of the mail-in ballots that are now out there in our county. I don't agree with it. I think everybody should have had their freedom to be able to show up, which they still do have. But now if you continue to mail out all these ballots, they're going to be less likely to show up in person to go vote. They're just going to do it in the mail. And I just don't think they'll have as much information as possible to make the right educated decision because the candidates now have less time to get out to 500,000 residents in the county. It's a lot. You know, so I don't know. I thought we were supposed to have we're supposedly supposed to have a conservative supervisor of elections, tax collector's office, Seminole County Commission. These are all Republicans.
But they have to be
those
nonpartisan,
ballots,
don't they? Because these are nonpartisan roles. So
very good point for the supervisor of elections office. Yes, you're correct.
Chris Anderson is a wonderful man, and he has to be nonpartisan. So
my fear with that, again, is when you do mail ballots, that is the opportunity in which people can cheat, lie, cheat, and steal, in my opinion.
But it is also up to us to, citizens to take up the podium and say, we will not stand for this. We need justice. We need balance, and we need honesty.
If you want your vote to count, show up in person.
Absolutely. And we started with God and how God has changed you and how God has propelled you from one step to the other and brought you your son and your wonderful wife. So I want to leave it with that and say, so we talk about all the problems, but we know ultimately who's going to change it? It's going to have to be God. This is beyond human.
It's going to be God using us as vessels like he's done our whole lives. Right? And this should be no different.
Absolutely.
We need a God-fearing country like I grew up in. I know that most people that live in our country grew up in with, again, God forbid, pun intended, we get to stand up, put your hand over your heart, pledge allegiance, be proud of that.
Absolutely.
At the same time, and give you back your constitutional rights all across the board.
There's nowhere to go, folks. The United States, love it or hate it, it's all we got right now. So you know what? It's still the example around the world for what we want, what we look forward to as far as democracy. So if they destroy that, if we become puppets of the republic, we got nothing. I don't have enough to go buy myself an island, but hopefully in coming days I will. So maybe I'll decide my own country, but until then, the United States is it. I've lived all over the world. So, on that note, I want you to you have so many facts, besides the fact, look at these dolls. I usually ask my guests to give a fun fact, but I think it's a show and tell at this point. Look at this. Isn't this cute? He is like a star. He's the first person I've interviewed, and hopefully not the last, that has their own doll collection. So,
action figures.
Action figure. Oh, so sorry.
Not at homes that are playing with these folks.
Action figures, pardon me. And so you go and get these. Where can they find these?
Oh my God, this was back in 2004, 2010, 2013. Yeah, there's kids all across the country.
I think I like this one. This is wearing white. It matches me. So I like this one. That's me. So Matt,
you can go online and buy those really quick. Go on Craigslist. Go online. Just type in Matt Morgan Pro Wrestler. I'm sure you can find them for yourself.
And where's your website? What's your website for contacting you? Phone number for your campaign?
Go on my Facebook page right now, and it's Matt Morgan for Seminole County Commission. Please go there because that's where I'm doing most of my updates for what I'm doing with my campaign. But I will also advise everybody, please, I'm going to need your help. And it is August 18th, Republican primary. Bob Delory, my opponent, 16-year incumbent, career politician. I like him, but it's the truth, career politician, versus me, Matt Morgan. This August 18th. I need your help. I need your vote. We need to make sure that we continue to keep Seminole County red. A lot of people used to say that over the years. It has never been more imperative than today. We're not purple, folks. We're very, very much so becoming blue, unfortunately. We cannot afford to lose these county commission seats to the Democratic Party. We see what happens in a Democratic lifestyle and elected officials that are Democrats in other states, other counties. Look to our border in Orange County. Look how they've handled COVID. Do you want to have curfews? Do you want to have all these mandates and things like that? Keep it as is. If you don't, and you want to have your constitutional rights, you'll vote back for Matt Morgan, County Commission, District 1, August 18th, Republican primary. God bless, guys.
Yes, and some of you, if you want to volunteer, reach out to Matt, and I'm sure he's always looking for help. And if you're as passionate as I am about, having a voice in the near future, make sure you bring out the best of the candidates to represent you, because there's a lot at stake here, folks. Thanks so much for being part of this wonderful experience with Matt Morgan. And we'll see you next time. You know how to reach me. And subscribe to the channel. We'd love to hear your comments and suggestions and feedback. Look forward to future interviews. Have a wonderful day. Here on Sendor TV, Frankly Speaking with Sendra D.
Hit the subscribe button now. Don't wait. Do it now.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Frankly Speaking with Sendra D on Sendor TV. Please subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified when a new episode is uploaded. Also follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. And we definitely appreciate you being part of this
community.